As a driven high achiever, you've worked really hard to get to where you are. But if it came with stress, anxiety, and a constant undercurrent of fear, then are you asking yourself whether it was all worth it? Now, don't get me wrong, we love having stuff, right? But the way to get it without the burnout is through shifting your mindset that you're not the only one that can make it happen. So stick with me because I'm going to let you in on a secret that I learned while I was lying in what doctors thought was my deathbed. And I'm going to share how to overcome the imposter syndrome that took me there. What I learned was that no amount of success was worth more than me. So if you're feeling depleted, if you're pushing hard to increase your success, but you're also wondering how it can possibly happen when you're already working all the hours under the sun, then I invite you to ask yourself whether you're inadvertently holding the subconscious belief that you're somehow less important than the success you're creating. In this video, I'm going to let you know how to gain the awareness you need to identify and change the underlying beliefs that are standing between you and living the life that you truly want, so you'll be able to dissolve them and welcome in a life of true abundance, peace of mind, and the happiness that you're working so hard to experience. Because here's the thing, right? I was so used to putting everything and everyone else above me that I didn't even know that I was doing it. I'm the middle child of 5 children, and growing up, I was always the peacemaker, yeah? I was the one that held things together when family life happened. I put my own feelings aside to make sure that everyone else was okay. And it wasn't just that. I've always been the kind of person who just figures stuff out. And I felt like it was on me to do the figuring out for other people too. All of my life, I was the person that people came to for help. And I love all of that about me, but it's partly why I overworked and burned out. See, I built my previous business in complete flow through playing and following my joy. It all fell apart because I developed imposter syndrome and I went from being pulled by my passion to pushing through fear. Now, I'm going to go deeper into imposter syndrome in a minute and why fixing it doesn't start with gathering evidence like you've been told. There's a simple, if not always easy, solution that I'm going to share with you because I know how debilitating it is. When I was in that state of fear, I was in a state of hypervigilance, on the constant lookout for how I was going to be discovered as a fraud. Not that I was one, it was just the way that I felt, right? And because I felt like I had to constantly prove myself, I overworked and barely slept. Now, on a neurological level, that has the effect of dysregulating cortisol production, that's the stress hormone, and it diminishes the function of the prefrontal cortex, so concentration and emotional regulation is greatly reduced. And then it becomes this vicious cycle. Because imposter syndrome comes with a really heavy dose of perfectionism, you're in a constant mental loop of it's got to be the best and it's never going to be good enough. And because you're so tired and so stressed, and because you've lost so much of your concentration and attention to detail, you make more mistakes and the work isn't up to the standard you would want it to be. So you keep working longer trying to get it all right. And in my case, because I was an absolute control freak at the time, I was the only person that I trusted enough to do it right. And that's the thing about imposter syndrome. When you're stuck in proving mode, it's almost inevitable that you start believing that you have to do everything yourself. It's like your brain says, if it's all on me, at least I can control the outcome. And believing that you have to control everything in your life, well, that's just exhausting, right? If we're talking states of consciousness, as described by Michael Beckwith, then I was very much in the by me state of consciousness, right? And what's funny is that building that business was very much in the through me state because I was literally just following the fun. It didn't feel like hard work or stress, and all the right people just fell into place. It was really easy to become one of only 2 recommended wedding cake suppliers to the Ritz Hotel in Mayfair, and it happened really fast. But like I say, the craziness only started when I suddenly developed imposter syndrome and flipped into the fear of losing it all. And this is a really common fear for high achievers who reach certain milestones of success. And it happens when your internal self-concept hasn't yet caught up to the reality that you're living in, yeah? And that creates a gap that your mind and body interprets as a threat. So to put it another way, imposter syndrome and the fear of losing it all occurs when your external reality exceeds your self-concept of who you are and the life that you feel worthy and deserving of. If your self-identity matched your reality, you wouldn't experience the cognitive dissonance that's caused your mind to try to get you back to the life that you feel you belong in. I haven't heard anybody else teach this in the way that I do, and that's probably because experts in their field don't teach in the holistic way that I do. The fact that I approach everything through the multidisciplinary lens of neuroscience, psychology, spirituality, and manifestation, and the fact that I actually lived through it, means that I see things differently. Traditional imposter syndrome teaching focuses on gathering external evidence, but if you've ever tried that, you'll know that it actually doesn't work, right? Because there's no amount of external evidence that will override the default mode network's tendency to reinforce the life you already believe is yours. That's why I focus so much on identity work, because when you change the self-concept that your brain runs on, the DMN starts generating a completely different reality. I've seen this play out in 7- and 8-figure business owners, so if you recognize yourself in anything that I've just talked about, I promise you that you're not alone. And I don't want you to do what I did, which was to hold on so tightly to what I feared losing that I strangled the life out of it. And I made my fear become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what I learned during those 5 years in bed was that when we believe that we're the only ones that create our lives, we're restricting the life we could be living. Yeah. But when we open ourselves up to the possibility that the action that we take is ridiculously small compared to the action that life takes on our behalf, then incredible things happen. Because here's the thing, right? We accept that life supports us in some ways, yeah. We accept that we don't need to push our hair or fingernails out of our skin. We accept that we don't need to pump our heart or micromanage our blood flow. We're completely happy to trust that life supports us and does all of that for us, yeah. So why wouldn't life support other aspects of our existence too? And what would happen if you fully believed that you were supported in getting everything that you wanted? When you can wake up in the morning and say, I would love for life to bring me A, B, and C or something better, please let me know what part I play in the creation of this. And then you just follow your intuitive guidance without any attachment to neither the outcome or the process. Life opens up like you just wouldn't believe. And for people like us, people who are the ones that make things happen, I know that that's not always easy to do. And our nervous system freaks out because they've learned that full throttle pressure is safer than relaxation. And they learned that over years of living in this constant state of high pressure and high stress. So when your nervous system starts screaming at you, just sit with it and hear what it has to say. Breathe deeply to calm your body without assigning any judgment to it, yeah? It takes practice, but it's really a practice worth doing to get the life that you want. A life where success in all of its forms expands effortlessly because you're no longer pushing, and instead you're just being pulled and supported in every step you take. When you've shifted your self-concept so it matches the level of success you're living, the pressure to prove yourself disappears, and so does the belief that it is all on you. That's the mindset shift that ultimately sets you free. you'll know for certain that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, which you are at all times. This is the work that I do with my private clients and inside my free school community. You'll find all the links you need in the description. And if you missed it, my last video spoke about how to achieve more success with less stress. So I recommend you watching that video next. I look forward to speaking with you or seeing you in my community. And if I don't, well, just know that you're ready. And this is where it begins. I'll see you next time. Bye.